When we think of a snowman here in the West, we usually imagine a snowman that's made out of 3 snowballs. Well, 2 or 3. As you can see, there's different examples here. Normally the biggest snowball at the bottom, used for its legs and feet, the middle one for the chest, and then the smallest one at the top for the head. And what we usually do, and probably the same in your country as well, if you happen to have snow of course, is we use a carrot, sometimes also a stick for a nose, and we like to also put some other decoration. We might try to make the snowman smile, again by using some kind of a branch or a stick. We also try to maybe use some stones for the eyes, and if we want to be very creative, as you can see in some of these photos, people like to leave maybe their hat, their snow hat, or perhaps their scarf on the snowman. Sometimes these do get stolen, but sometimes also maybe homeless people take them, which is a good thing because obviously during winter it can be very cold, and if you're someone who doesn't have a place to live in, it can be very difficult for you. So it can also be a good thing. What's very interesting is that apparently, I didn't know this, it's most likely true, in Japan, so these photos here are quite old. I actually found, not the actual source, but I did found someone who is perhaps Japanese claiming that they're actually from postcards. So the snowman in Japan is actually not a snowman. If you look at these old photos, which are from I think 1907, this is during the Meiji era in Japan, you actually notice something quite different. So first of all, they're not shaped exactly as a snowball. They're a tiny bit more like a fat pancake or something. There is no carrot nose, and there's almost no decoration. On top of that, perhaps you can notice the facial expression on all of them is sort of neutral. On this one, maybe because of the camera angle, it looks a bit sad, but most of the time they're not having any kind of sad or happy facial expression. It's more just like, I would say they look a bit bored, maybe a bit scared, but I'm guessing it's supposed to be a neutral facial expression. Surprisingly enough, I didn't know this, snowmen in Japan are actually not considered snowmen. So if you actually look at the Wikipedia page about snowmen, but the Japanese one, so they're called yukidaruma. So the word daruma does not come from the origin of the word is actually not Japanese, but more on that in a moment. So this is an example. Here's an example of a typical snowman. Yes, this one is from Japan. You can sort of guess by the bucket and the facial expression, but this is not how people in the past, 100 to 150 years ago, perhaps even more, it's not how they imagined snowmen to be, because they never considered them a reflection of people. So what I mean by this is, for example, this is a snowman example from Canada, and you can clearly see that he's based on a human. You have the carrot nose, the smile. The person here has put some kind of sunglasses, because even in the winter, if you're skiing or going up the mountain, the sun can still be very strong. You have the scarf, and then you have the button decorations, which sort of present that it's wearing a jacket. You have here another one, looks very cute, it even has ears, very humanoid in a way. The Japanese ones, the old ones, however, are a bit different. I was quite curious about this, and I couldn't really find the actual source. So the earliest information that I managed to find, here's some other things that I was reading. It's about a special day, but it doesn't matter right now. The earliest information that I could find was actually from just 4.5 years ago, which I'm pretty sure there's even older information on the internet about this, but even though my internet browser is in Japanese, it doesn't mean that all of the results I get by living in Germany are in Japanese. So of course there's a lot of information that is missing, and I'm not using a VPN. But anyways, so this person here, Green Pepper, on Twitter, on X. Now I personally don't have an X, so I only have a wife. Never had an X, but for the ones of you that have an X, that was a very bad joke, by the way. For the ones of you that have an X account, okay, that sounds weird as well. Maybe you can log in and have a look at this if you'd like to, but it's basically showing that these are postcards. So these are postcards, and they were apparently, as far as I found, if I can still find the link, they were apparently made in, well, this is actually in English, so I don't consider it a trusty resource, but a trusty source of information, but still, in 1907, as I said. And these postcards, these snowmen, they're actually not real snowmen, so they're actually made of fabric like linen or cotton. They're made out of textile, so that people in the past can actually take these photos. And if you zoom in a little bit, you can actually see that this is not real snow. This is just some textile fabric. To me it looks a lot like cotton, and it's just very interesting to see. Now, going back to why the snowmen in Japan are shaped like this, even if you put the word for snowman in Japanese, so yukidaruma, you have over here the romaji, the pronunciation, in case you cannot read this. If you have a look at, for example, the Chinese version, so the sui ren, or whatever it's correctly pronounced, you have the symbol for snow and you have the symbol for person, which, if I Google that, yukito. Okay, you have some kind of manga, but for the most case, for a moment I was a bit scared opening the Google images. Trust me, every time you Google something in Japanese or Chinese, you don't know what you're gonna get. But for the most part, you have a snow, the symbol snow, and then a humanoid man, person, so a snowman. But that is not the case for Japanese, and that is because the Japanese snowman, the yukidaruma, is actually based on Buddhism. So it is actually based on this, on the Daruma, which is also Dharma. It is a type of doll that came to Japan from India, then through China, together with Buddhism, because Buddhism spread to Japan from China and Korea. So because Korea is closer to China in the past, that is sort of the way it spread. And what this doll symbolizes is actually this person in a sitting position meditating. So this is actually how the snowman in Japan would look like if it was an actual man. This is sort of what it represents. It represents let me just find his name. I'm really sorry. I need to zoom out, I think, or go back. Yeah, there he is. Just a moment. It represents this person. So the Bodhidharma or Bodhidharma, which maybe we can have a look real quick. English. So this Buddhist monk who is actually, I already started to forget, but I think he is the founder of Zen Buddhism, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. Let me have a look. Maybe if I do this one, maybe we can see. Modeled after Bodhidharma, the founder of Zen tradition of Buddhism. Because Zen Buddhism is very, very popular in Japan. Not just in Japan, obviously. Japanese people also have their sort of indigenous religion, but that's a topic for another time. but it's very interesting to see. These dolls don't have to necessarily be in red color, they can be in different colors, but that is sort of what these snowmen are representing. So this snowman is a representation of this Buddhist doll, and I find it very fascinating because in most of the world, when we think of a snowman, we really think of a humanoid, a person. To some extent, this is the same. This is a meditating person in sitting position, but it's still very interesting to see, very, very interesting to see. I'm also wondering whether, despite the eyes here, are they actually open, or can it be that they're closed? Just like you can see this in this ukiyo-e, which is a type of wood block print. Well, it's actually is a genre of Japanese art, but anyways, I wonder if the actual Japanese snowman also have its eyes closed. Just very, very interesting stuff. I really like reading about this, and it kind of shows us how unique and diverse we are in a way, regardless where we come from. You know, just because, for example, in our country snowmen are the same, but in Japan are different, doesn't mean that there's not other things, you know, that are unique in their own way. And you have here, I guess, in 1914, this is the way that they're making these dolls, and you can see that they're actually quite big. I'm assuming if the average person is let's say 5'5" or 5'6", you can see that they're sort of 1/3 or 1/2 of their size, which is pretty cool. And that's pretty much it. It reminds me a tiny bit, looking at these, for example, it reminds me a bit of the Russian dolls. So maybe some of you know these. Let me see whether. Okay, I misspelled it, but tiny bit when I was looking at this one, tiny bit it reminded me of this. But again, Japanese snowmen in the past, really, really unique. And in these photos, if they turn out to be true, I don't know. Maybe if you're Japanese or if you happen to know more about this, then please, of course, let me know. But apparently in these photos, this is not snow. So this was done for the photo shoot. And I can imagine, because more than 100 years ago, who knows how long it took to actually have this kind of photo shoot. And it can also be that they didn't even film this. What does it mean, film this? They didn't even take these photos during winter or during a snow season. It can be that this was filmed also in the summer. So, for example, we don't really know, but it's fascinating to see. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. I know no one's watching these videos, but to be honest, I don't really care. I don't want to promote them artificially, and I also don't want to force people to watch them or to subscribe. I really don't care. Just enjoy your day, stay awesome, and see you around in the next video.